Take us back to what made you make this film.
I just wanted to find out. I sort of randomly tweeted out, very probably stupidly, that I'd had a, I think it was World Mental Health Day, and I just kind of sent a tweet out saying, you know, this is for anybody who's going through a tough time, you know, just wanted to let you know I had a breakdown, not doing so bad now. Cheers and all the best, look after yourself.
Have a nice
have
day.
a great day. And then got on a plane, flew to Vancouver, and opened my phone, and there were like 40,000 retweets, and like over 1 million engagements. ITV calling me, BBC calling me, everybody wanting interviews, and I suddenly thought, fuck. You know, I'd forgotten I hadn't gone public with it, even though I told all my friends. But and that sort of made me that made me think, you know. Well, I then wrote an article for The Guardian about my experience, and a friend of mine read it and said, a friend of mine who was with me when I was having the breakdown read it, and he said, that's not how I remember it.
What was it about the way you described it in this kind of first draft of the telling that your friend said that's not how it was?
Well, it seemed to be quite good fun. You know, there's a lot of sort of mania around psychosis. There's a lot of highs. There's a lot of dopamine running through your brain. I've since found this out. So you have these really highs and deep lows, and the highs were really good fun. I missed them, actually. But the lows were pretty low. And I'd forgotten all about the lows, and I remembered some of the highs. And making the documentary, I was confronted with the reality, and it scared the shit out of me. And it took me a good 3 years to sort of get over it, I think.
What was it about the documentary that was so painful to confront? So you had this narrative that it was all kind of good fun.
Mm.
What did you discover when you made the documentary about the truth about your experience of psychosis?
Well, they'd found my medical records from 30 years ago.
Had you ever seen them yourself?
No, never. And it contained everything I said in the mental institution, everything. I spent 5 days sectioned in a mental institution, and everything I said and everything I did was recorded. And obviously I've never seen it, so there was a section of the film where I had to go and collect these records, and then I was supposed to open them and read them and sort of discuss them on camera. And I opened this first page and I went, oh, no, I'm not seeing that, no, and cut. And I was really, really disturbed by you're reading your disturbed self. And the first word I saw was really bizarre. The patient believes he has merged hearts with a young black boy. And I was like, what the fuck is that? And I closed that envelope. I didn't read it again for 2 years.
Wow.
But when I wrote my book, I knew I had to look at it. So I then went back and I read every single page, which was a really difficult thing to do. But I realized then that I was just very, very confused about my identity, about my black identity, about my self. I'd sort of become unmoored from who I was. And this, I think, my core self, I call it my therapist calls it my core self, my young black self. I sort of was somehow reaching back to that core self to sort of get back in touch with myself. Because I think from the age of probably 8, I don't know, I guess drama school and acting had just completely taken me away from myself.
Well, you write about this so clearly in your book, which I really recommend. I found it remarkable that the struggles that I think many of us grapple with of being black and British, feeling othered in our own country, not having a narrative or a language or a clear way of even self-identifying. In your case, you write, manifested in a crack in your psyche.
Yeah.
And that crack grew.
it grew, and then eventually I sort of fell into the space. I say I fell into the space in between. I mean, and I remember the first moment, as I say in the book that, you know, I was about 5, maybe 5 or 6, and playing outside my house. And, you know, in those days you'd get chased by skinheads, you know, just randomly, for no reason. You'd just be hurling down the street with a bunch of skinheads carrying bricks and bats, and no idea why. But I was playing outside my house one day, and there was this old white guy, old gentleman. So I wasn't particularly scared of him, but he was just glaring at me. And he sort of walked up to me, and he said, "Get the fuck out of my country, you little black bastard." And I sort of went. I didn't understand what he meant when he said his country. And that's why my book is called Maybe I Don't Belong Here, because at that particular moment I thought, maybe this isn't my country. Maybe I'm not from here. And I don't think that idea has, or that realization went away for a very, very long. I tried to cover it and bury it, and even still today, I say to my friends and people who listen, I still have never bought an England football shirt. Never. I've got a Brazil shirt, German shirt, Italian shirt. Never bought an England shirt. Something in my psyche that I get confused sometimes, even today, about my identity. I'm better at it. I can deal with it better, but something about Britain and England sometimes makes me feel unmoored.